the narrative being promoted of public education being a failing enterprise is a part of an effort to tear down the last remaining mandatory good for all children and families. How the anti-CRT, anti-blackness policies are, yes, an attack on democracy, but more specifically, because of the black and browning of the public education system, an attack on the values of a multiracial democracy, equity, fairness, and inclusion.
Public schools are the last public institution we have. Everything they're trying to privatize, and public education is no different. And so here we are fighting for our lives to ensure that public education remains public and that we as parents and community members, our voice and the democratic process of our voice is honored.
We have been building and supporting a movement of students, parents, educators, and school board members across the country who are fighting for an honest, accurate, equitable, and fully funded public education, which is the foundation for a just multiracial democracy.
HEAL's particular niche, like our real sweet spot and our expertise, is to build durable education justice organizations that have the power to both defend and advance public education for the long term. And I highlighted for the long term because I really wanted to emphasize that we are focused on building a movement infrastructure that will last beyond this political moment, so that public education is, better, stronger, and more resistant to attacks in the next political moment and ongoing.
It's about representation. And that's the name of the campaign, is represent, because they don't want any historically marginalized groups being represented in any way as a part of the educational process. And so we need organizers to be able to stay in touch and provide support with those regional teams and local and regional teams. Also, language access. North Carolina is an incredibly diverse state. And so when we talk about putting folk out in community, at the very least, we need organizers who are either multilingual or to be able to hire translators and interpretation services to support organizations on the ground. Communications is huge, and organizations like ours aren't typically outfitted to really do very nimble, quick, sleek responses, but not even just responses, but just being able to package our messaging in a way that hits folk right where they need to be. What's possible is for us to launch a real legitimate resistance. The other side is unpopular, they're wrong. We just need to get louder, we need to get more organized. So that's what I think is possible.
Building power is how we win. And that's exactly what we're doing in Georgia as students. We're building intergenerational, multiracial power. We're currently organizing on 5 of Georgia's largest campuses, which serve, thousands and thousands of students, including my own. I'm here at Georgia Tech. The body of all of that work is base building, it's public education, it's local organizing, and it's narrative shift. So we're running a massive program called Student Power Hub to engage students on small and big projects, right? That includes writing op-eds, that includes distributing a zine to as many high schools across the state as we possibly can. That's political education work, which is going to engage hundreds of students across the state. And so we have local priorities in all of our 16 counties. That includes advocating for and pushing equity training plans for teachers and for staff. That includes, increasing funding for mental health resources and APS, especially. That includes shifting funding away from school resource officers, which is the largest growing segment of law enforcement nationally, and is deeply tied to the Cop City battle that you have probably heard of happening in Atlanta right now. What we're really focusing on so hard this year is elevating student voices in conjunction with our parents, with our teachers, with our school board members.
So we are all the blues on this map. The dark blues, the HEAL states, are places where we have 2 or more community groups that are working in 3 or more school districts and also working together to influence statewide policy. And then those medium blues are the HEAL local. That's places where we're working with at least 1 community group that's organizing in 1 or more school districts. And then the HEAL emerging is where there's a group or a partnership in formation. And our goal is to move these groups along these tiers so that many more community groups can have impact at the state level, but building from strong local organizing.
Less than 1% of education funding went to youth, parent, and educator-led education justice organizations. The threat is real, but what's most important and real in this moment than the threat is the opportunity to advance fairness, advance equity, and advance inclusion.
Our public schools should be helping our young people develop into not only productive citizens, but citizens who embrace humanity for all, diversity of thought, diversity of experience, so that they can become decision makers that govern with compassion and empathy towards all individuals.
What keeps me going is that I have the potential to make change in my county. We are the students, we are in schools for 180 days of the year, for 6 hours a day. You gain hope from seeing other people achieve, and to see that it's finally happening now with us, it's just so empowering.
We see the fight for education justice as being on the front lines of this work. And when we organize, we win.